put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. It is Thursday, the 8th day of May 2025, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it.
Good morning, and my name is Akin Labihola. It's good to be here. Another day of Tobago updates, another day of exciting conversations and discussions we're going to have with our guests this morning, and we are so happy that you are here to join us with these conversations. Adana, how the morning going for you?
It's pretty okay this morning, Akin Labi. Thank you so much for asking, and of course, yes, I join with you in saying that we're so happy that our viewers are here this morning, that they can participate in the conversation. There's so many things to talk about. As per usual here on the show, and you know, it's always encouraging to know that our viewers pay attention. I don't know if you see some of them when you're doing your usual day-to-day, you know, shopping around or whatever you're doing. Sometimes we see them and they say, I saw you on TV, I didn't know you was the show. You know, I get all those comments, but needless to say, we really do appreciate you, our viewers, and we're really happy when you decide to you leave your comments and, you know, encourage us. It's because of you why we are number one, and we try to do our best to ensure that we bring quality content to you as well. And before we get into all of those conversations, of course, we head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Thursday, May 8, 2025. In a wave of new governmental appointments, notable figures from business and media have taken up key ministerial roles. Satyaka Maharaj, founder and managing director of Sasha Cosmetics, is now the Minister of Trade, Tourism and Investment, who was sworn in yesterday at President's House. Maharaj, a celebrated entrepreneur, was a Caribbean Entrepreneur of the Year in 2016. Meanwhile, Philip Edwards Alexander has been appointed Minister in the Ministry of Housing, joining a team led by Caroni Central MP David Lee. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has been forced to run the country from her private home in Philippines due to uninhabitable official facilities. Minister Barry Paradat revealed Whitehall is plagued by mold and overcrowding, while the diplomatic center suffers from sewage, rot, and broken security systems. Despite these challenges, Persad-Bissessar has remained fully engaged, working late into the night. Ministers including Saddam Hussein have been coordinating from her residence. Paradat slammed the previous administration for neglect, calling White House a $32 million vanity project with no functionality and dire health risks. And finally, the new administration has flagged a staggering $570 million in unpaid debts left behind by the previous government, placing immediate financial strain on the ministries of Health and the Attorney General. Health Minister Lakram Budu revealed $500 million is owed to suppliers, including for critical drugs and maintenance, while AG John Jeremy disclosed $70 million in outstanding legal fees. Budu emphasized the urgency of addressing the backlog and its impact on healthcare delivery and staff morale. Talks are underway to restore medical educational facilities previously repurposed from their intended academic use. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Bianna, for our news there in 90 seconds. And of course, yes, notable that some of the ministers are from the business sector. I think it was rumored a couple days ago that the owner and CEO of Sasha Cosmetics was tipped to be the Minister of Trade, and we see that happening there as well. So, I mean, it's good to have persons with the kind of knowledge and experience that he has, especially establishing a brand that is international.
Yes.
And the figures will show that he kind of know what he's doing. So let's see if that could be applied in the managing the government and the affairs, the purse of Trinidad and Tobago, to ensure maximum benefits for all of us here in Trinidad and Tobago as well. I mean, where are your thoughts where, you know, this is concerned?
I believe it's giving him a try is worth it, you know, and as you said, his background of, you know, in terms of trade and entrepreneurship, you know, he probably should be able to fit the criteria.
Yeah, for me, I think they're really looking at his background in terms of him building a successful business such as Sasha Cosmetics, and I think that he could bring some of that knowledge and decades of experience into the job and really work towards boosting Trinidad and Tobago's economy. I guess they're looking for more international partnerships, international trade outside of Trinidad and Tobago to bring in some foreign exchange.
Yes.
You know, I want to switch gears a little bit to the Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Persad Bissessa, not appearing physically in the office spaces for work, whether it's at Whitehall or the Prime Minister's official residence, citing that it is in a deplorable state and is uncomfortable for working. Those are the reports that came in, and I am hoping to see physical evidence because based on the report, it seems as if the condition of the place is in such a state that you don't want to go in there for risk of, you don't want to risk your safety. However, it was used up to recent. So I really would like to see. That's right. So I really would like to have, you know, visual context of what is being considered as deplorable and run down and having sewage issues. I really would like to have an image of that before I could say, well, wow, this really is in a bad state. Because as I said before, if it was used up to the end of April, I can't see it being in such a state that on the first day of May, you can't set foot in there. So I'm hoping to get the research, to get the actual visual to see what it looks like. Because we don't want to start playing, we have to be careful, you know, with the information that comes in. And for me, having the evidence is very, very important to know where we are, where that is concerned. So we'll see how that moves along.
Yeah, this is par for the course for when a new administration comes in. They come in and they start to highlight, itemize all the things the previous administration did wrong. It seems to be straight out of the politics playbook of Trinidad and Tobago. But the last administration did admit that the basement is not in a good condition. But I don't think the basement by itself not being in a good condition is justification enough to say that the entire building cannot be used. So like you said, Adana, they really should bring forward some sort of evidence to show the people of Trinidad and Tobago that the Whitehall is really in a deplorable condition that is unfit for use.
That's right, that's right. And I know that when a new administration goes into office, they want to put their spin on things. They want to probably put a new coat of paint, a new chair. Sometimes they even buy a new vehicle. That's all right. But I really want to see evidence for this citation being that the working conditions are actually absolutely deplorable, and that you know, you can't work in the physical office space. So we'll see how that goes in the near future. I do hope that we're able to put our hands on some physical evidence where that is concerned. All right. Thank you so much, Brianna, for joining us on set this morning. We do hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you again tomorrow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the morning where we celebrate with those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. We here at Tobago Updates Television, as you are aware, we love to celebrate with you. And so this morning we say happy birthday to Mr. David Roberts. David Roberts is celebrating a birthday today. And David, we say happy birthday to you. We pray God's blessings upon your life. And we do hope that you have a wonderful, amazing birthday today. We pray God's blessings upon you. So happy birthday to you, Mr. David Roberts. Happy birthday to you.
And we say happy birthday also to Mr. Kyle Salandi. Happy birthday, Mr. Salandi. We see you there with your $1 million smile. And we wish you God's richest blessings on your special, special day. And we pray and hope that family and friends and all the loved ones, they come together and they celebrate you to show you much love and appreciation. Happy birthday to you.
That's right. We also want to say happy birthday to Mr. Ballet Granville. I hope the technical team is able to pull it in there. It was just sent in the last minute. But happy birthday also goes out to my classmate, Mr. Ballet Granville. He's also celebrating a birthday today. So happy birthday to you, Ballet. We pray God's blessings upon your life. And also Karen Williams celebrated a birthday yesterday. I'm not sure if it was on the rundown, but happy belated birthday to you as well. And listen, even though we don't have your photographs, we do join in the celebration with you. We do wish you the very best. We pray God's blessings upon your life. We love a celebration over here. Just that we don't have the champagne glasses on set, but we love a celebration. This is the image of Ballet Granville. He's celebrating today, so happy birthday to him as well. And as I was saying, yes, it's just that we don't have the champagne glasses on set, but we love a celebration here, you know. So we join in the celebrations with you, and we remind you, please, to put God first, because He is the sole reason why there's even anything for you to celebrate. All right, Akinlabi Holder, who are we having conversations with this morning in studio?
Well, we're having a bit of a light conversation today. And today, first up, we have in Miss Sharon D. Mapp, who's an enrolled nursing assistant and scrub technician. She's going to be talking with us about Nurses Appreciation Week. We know the hard work that our nurses and all our medical staff, but particularly our nurses, put in their jobs. We're also going to have on set Varindra Persad, who is the captain and CEO of the band Trevini, and they're going to be talking about Fashion Coda 7 and their part that they're going to be playing in Fashion Coda 7. And then we're going to be wrapping up our conversations once again with Nurses Appreciation Week, and coming in would be Giselle Pierre, who is a registered scrub nurse, working at the Port of Spain Gynecological Theatre. Yes, so those are the conversations we have for today.
Right, of course, and you know we must show appreciation. As you mentioned, Akinlabi, our nurses, they work very, very, very hard. And I remember the times of COVID, especially our nurses, there was a high demand on our nurses, and we saw them working night and day, extended hours, you know, putting in the work, having to wear extra PPE, and, you know, just doing what needs to be done. And I really want to show appreciation to nurses. I feel as if their profession kind of doesn't get the appreciation they deserve. People tend to give all the praises to the doctors, and while the doctors they do the consultation and they do whatever, the nurses are the one who really provide that measure of care. When they're talking about care, bedside care, is the nurses that kind of come forward. So I too join in the celebration to appreciate our nurses.
And you know, we didn't really do, as a nation, we really didn't appreciate the kind of sacrifice that these nurses put in during the pandemic. A lot of them, they were away from their families for days and days and days on end, and they really put the nation before everything else in their lives. And as a country, I don't think we really understood the level of the sacrifice, or even expressed how thankful we were for their hard work.
And so we must show appreciation. We shouldn't take things for granted and think, well, that's their job. But sometimes the job makes demands that we didn't cater for, and we still have to do what we have to do. So we will show appreciation to them this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us, whether you are right here in Tobago, in Trinidad, the Caribbean region, the United States of America, Canada, England, Asia, Australia, Africa, wherever you are. Thank you so much for choosing us and for always making us your #1 choice for morning show here on the island of Tobago. We have to go for a short break, but before we go, we invite you to help us.
Share the live, share the live, share the live.
We'll be right back.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning and we speak with Sharon D. Mapp, an enrolled nursing assistant and a scrub technician. As you are aware, we are showing appreciation to nurses. I think it's Nurses Appreciation Week, and so we are going to invite them to hear all about what a nurse does and show some love and appreciation. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tobago.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And of course, happy Nurses Appreciation Week to you. I must start off by saying that we really, truly do appreciate the work that nurses do. We were talking about it just before we went to the break, the hard work that goes into nursing, and sometimes it goes, unnoticed. So we do take the time off to say we appreciate you very, very much. And of course, we want to learn a little bit more about what goes into being a nurse, to nursing, what it requires emotionally, physically, even the training that you have to undergo to ensure that you are a registered nurse. So let's go on that journey with you this morning. When did you start off your nursing journey?
I started my nursing journey in the year 2000.
Right.
That was
okay.
5 years ago.
Wow. And what
Yes.
has it been like in terms of, let's start with your training, because I know you have to go through the, you have to get the academia part of it, you have to go through the actual training, doing your exams, passing and stuff like that. What is that period like?
Well, you have to apply to the Ministry of Health to do, well, I'm a nursing assistant, and you have to apply to the Ministry of Health. You have to have 3 subjects, including English and a science subject, to be a nursing assistant. It's a 2-year program conducted by the Ministry of Health. Well, was conducted by the Ministry of Health. It now goes under the purview of COSTAT. It's a 2-year program. The first year you're in classroom for a couple months, and then you go out into the clinical field, and you have your first exam at the end of the first year. And the second year is just like a probationary period where you gain your experience and that kind of thing. It is grueling. The exams are fairly hard. You have to put your work in and study, but it's rewarding at the same time to know that it's an honorable profession and you get to help people, especially as a nursing assistant. You're hands-on with the patient.
And you said grueling, and I really want to go through the paces in terms of, the bedside care that you give to the patients, having to really give off yourself to ensure that they are comfortable, that they have what they need. What is that actual day like in the field of nursing? Like when you actually go out to work, you're on duty today, and you have, let's say, 5 patients that are under your purview for the day. What is it like, the demands of the day?
Well, as I said before, grueling, because they're the international ratio standards, but that doesn't happen in Trinidad and Tobago. It would be you sometimes up to 25 patients would be under your purview, and you're on your feet all day. Sometimes you don't get. I carry my lunch to work, and I bring it back home because you don't get a chance to eat. You barely get a chance to use the bathroom. So it's tough, but as I said before, it's definitely rewarding.
And tell me a little bit about what makes it rewarding for you.
Now, for me, serving beings, serving humankind is the ultimate reward. Being able to help make somebody else feel better, to comfort them, to get them to a better place with their health, and that kind of thing is the ultimate reward for me. And as the saying goes, givers never lack. So apart from being able to help a fellow human being, God blesses you. God blesses you tenfold. So it's satisfying, it's gratifying in that way.
Now, you stated about the job being grueling, right? But what are some of the things that persons in the general public might not know about nursing, or some of the hidden gems in nursing that the members of the public might not know, because they may have a general idea of what nurses do, but only when you're in that position you really get to know all the ins and outs. So what are some of those hidden gems about nursing that you think the public should know?
Okay, like, take for instance, I work in the operating theatre, in the gynae operating theatre at Port of Spain General. And sometimes you go to work and you don't have enough resources to perform your daily duties. You have to work so many tricks to get that work done. You have to go to another department to get things to do your daily duties. Sometimes I buy things out of my own pocket, to make sure the patient gets their surgery done, to make sure even my colleagues are comfortable. And I guess the public doesn't realize too that I work 12-hour shifts. You can go an entire 12-hour shift without having something to eat. Or probably you're supposed to use the bathroom within at least every 3 hours. Sometimes you get to use the bathroom once. Sometimes getting to use that bathroom might be at the end of your shift, and people don't see these things. People don't see you standing on your foot constantly for 12 hours at a time. People don't see when you get home, the soles of your feet are on fire, literally on fire. People don't see these things. People don't see you neglecting your family, because sometimes you have to work overtime and you have to forget about what's going on at home, because you have to ensure that the patients get what they need, their safety is intact and all of that.
So, Ms. Mapp, I know you have been a nursing assistant for 25 years. And before we came on air, we were speaking about the sacrifice that the nurses made during COVID-19, the pandemic. Just tell us a bit about your experience during that time period, because we know it was very demanding, even more
Yes.
than usually so. So just give us a little insight into what nurses would have gone through and nursing assistants would have had to endure to make sure that the population stays as safe as you possibly can.
Okay. During COVID, I worked at the maternity theatre at Port of Spain General Hospital. And it was difficult because people seem to have forgotten that pregnant mothers get COVID as well. And at first, it was a bit difficult to navigate in the theater how to deal with a COVID positive patient and the amount of PPEs and procedures that you have to go put on, and the amount of things you have to go through to make sure the patient is safe, you are safe, your colleagues are safe. And at that point in time, the air conditioning in the theater wasn't working at its optimal. So you have on all this PPE and you're doing a cesarean section, and you literally feel the sweat pouring down your back. And it's so difficult. The goggles that you have on, as you see, I wear glasses. So I have to wear goggles over these glasses. And it's fogging up and you can't see. And you have to be careful of the risk of needle stick injury and that kind of thing. And it was hard. It was really hard. But thankfully, everyone was safe.
And
I don't think anybody in the department got COVID, at least not at work. If you got
Okay.
COVID, you got it outside of the hospital.
So I was now going to ask you about the impact, the psychological impact the pandemic would have had on nurses and nursing assistants. Perhaps maybe, I don't know if you all would have lost colleagues, probably lost patients, that kind of thing. And what was the impact like on nurses and nursing assistants?
It was difficult. Yes, we lost colleagues. I remember the first mother we lost, the department was bleak. Everybody was kind of in a depressed mood because, we don't usually lose mothers like that. So it was hard, and then you're losing colleagues. And it was hard for us because there was no debriefing provided for us. So we had to deal with this on our own. So it was difficult.
I really have to applaud all the efforts and all that you're saying here today. It really is hitting home. As Akinlabi said, the sacrifice that you make, and now you're talking about the psychological impact of enduring losses, especially during COVID time. This is a job. If you were to summarize this job, somebody on the outside looking in, thinking, considering, what path should I take, and considering nursing as an option, how would you advise that person in a way that is kind of objective so they understand what is required in becoming a nurse?
Okay, so I would tell them it's an honorable profession to begin with. Definitely it's an honorable profession, but it's also a very hard profession. It's a job that you have to love, because you don't want to go into a job and you don't love it. So, you'll be taking it out on the patients basically. So it's something that you have to love, because, we want to do right by the patients, because, we always say at first, do no harm. So we want to do right by the patient. So it's a job you have to put a lot of dedication into it. You have to give of your time. Sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself. You have to sacrifice your family. But at the end of the day, you go home feeling good that knowing that you made a difference in somebody's life, in somebody's family's life. Because it's not just the patient you're dealing with, you have to deal with the patient's family as well. So, it's a job that you have to make up your mind. You're going to work hard, definitely. It's not too financially rewarding, because in Trinidad and Tobago, where nurses' salaries are at currently, is not up to international standards at all. So, it's not too financially rewarding, but you get that feeling knowing you're making a difference in somebody's life.
Oh gosh, I really, really want to thank you so much this morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on here and, enlightening us and our viewers about what it takes to be, just a nursing practitioner, giving that measure of selfless care to persons who, their life depends on you, their comfort and whatever, it really depends on you showing up for them in spite of what you might be dealing with externally. As you just mentioned, it has to be something that you love. And so, on behalf of Tobago Updates Television, we say Happy Nurses Appreciation Week. We appreciate you, not just today, not just this week, but we really, truly do appreciate you. And I do hope that you receive the grace to continue serving in the way that you have served, and that you're an encouragement to those who are coming up and wanting to be a part of the nursing fraternity here in Trinidad and Tobago. So thank you, thank you, thank you so very much. A heartfelt thank you from all of us here this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, and I do appreciate the appreciation.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Sharon D. Mapp, an enrolled nursing assistant and a scrub technician. And whoa, she took us through the paces. And sometimes we only see at the surface level, but she took us deep on the inside.
Yes.
So we must show appreciation. Sometimes we go to hospitals and, we get frustrated because the system is the system that kind of is slow. But the nurses, I believe, based on my interaction, they really put themselves into what they are doing. So let's show a little appreciation whenever we have to engage with the services there. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio. And as we go, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
With Flow Business's new smart solutions, powered by super fast, reliable broadband, you'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back, viewers, to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, and we are going to be talking Tobago Fashion Quarter 7, and we have on the line with us Mr. Virendra Prasad, who is the captain and CEO of the band Trevini. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Prasad. Okay, so we seem to be having some technical issues. We do apologize. We're going to go for a short break while we get Mr. Prasad back on the line. Stick with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, and we are back again. We're going to go to the photo of the day. We have our photo of the day, and we'll be coming up just in a little bit there. Our photo of the day. Yes, can you guess where this photo is? I think most persons could guess this. With some very iconic landmarks there. But our photo of the day, and it was sent in by Mr. Marvin Clark. So send us your answers on our Facebook and YouTube live chats for our photo of the day.
All right, remember also our Mother's Day brunch giveaway. Yes, this weekend we're celebrating mothers, and we have partnered with the Mantle Lodge and the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. And let's tell you a little bit about the competition. Yes, you have to enter the competition to win. How can you win? Well, I can tell you what, this is a brunch for two at the Mantle Lodge. These are the entry methods. Like the giveaway post and follow Tobago Updates. So you'll find the post on Tobago Updates page on Facebook. Right? In the comment section, you are going to tag your mom or a mother figure that you would like to take to brunch with you. Use the hashtag Mantle Lodge Moms, Mom and Me Tobago Updates. And each tag counts as an entry, right? So each tag counts as an entry. Here are the rules. You must be following all Tobago Updates social media profiles. So that's Tobago Updates Television, both on Facebook and on YouTube, right? You have to follow us. You have to be subscribed to our channels to be able to participate. The competition started on Tuesday because we spoke about this right here on Tuesday, and the winners will be announced on Friday, which is tomorrow, on our morning show. Winners must respond within 24 hours or a new winner will be selected. Right, so I'll go over again for the Mantle Lodge, how you're going to participate. Like the giveaway post and follow Tobago Updates. In the comment section, you tag a mom or a mother figure that you'd love to bring to brunch with you. So that means that your mom or your mother figure will probably have to be on Facebook. So let's get them on there and let them follow our page as well. Yep. Use the hashtag Mantle Lodge Moms or Mom and Me Tobago Updates. Each tag counts as one entry. You must be following our social media pages, and the competition has already started on Tuesday, and the winner will be announced on Friday. We also have partnered with the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. There is a brunch giveaway there as well. How do you enter in this one? Well, this one is a photo contest. It is a photo contest. So you have to post a photo with your mom or your mother figure. So that's you and your mom together in this photo. In the caption, share your favorite memory together. Tag and follow Tobago Updates and use the hashtag Magdalena Brunch with Mom TT and Tobago Updates Television. Yep, that's the hashtag. We're gonna go again. Magdalena Brunch with Mom TT and Tobago Updates Television. The photo with the most likes by Thursday, May 8th, which is today, will win. So time to start uploading your photo and have your friends logging on to like your photo. You must be following all Tobago Updates social media profiles. As I mentioned before, on Facebook and on YouTube. You must follow them, which is Tobago Updates Television on Facebook and on YouTube. Winners must respond. You must respond when you are contacted. Let's say, for instance, you post your photo, you're looking nice, everybody like your photo, you win. You must respond within 48 hours, or if you do not, a new winner will be selected. So that will be the person who comes in second. They will walk away with your prize. You don't want that to happen. By entering, you consent to your photo being used for promotional purposes. So bear that in mind. So we're celebrating mothers this weekend. Big up, big up, big up.
Yes, Adana, and it doesn't stop there. If you don't win these giveaways, you can still enjoy a brunch at the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. They have a Mother's Day brunch. Tickle her and her family's taste buds this Mother's Day with a delightful brunch at Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. Let us honor all that she does while she relaxes, unwinds, and enjoys our unforgettable flavors. The cost is $371.25. All taxes and service charges are included in that. And in order to book your reservations, you can contact them at 660-8500. That is 660-8500, or email guest.service@magdalenagrand.com. Once again, guest.service@magdalenagrand.com.
Songs really exciting, and you want to be a part of all that's happening this Mother's Day weekend. Show your mom some love, or that mother figure in your life. Show some love and appreciation. Enter the competitions and just take them for brunch, even if you don't win, but do participate. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations here this morning, and as we go, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme.
Well, I want a proper window for me house, yeah? I want no shake thing in my place.
Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces.
We get one wall on the side and we get one hole. You can put a window there, invent something, a window for put there.
At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style.
Well, me meet here. Me don't know who I'm talking to, but I have the cousin Tufina tell me, for call all you go get proper thing for put there. Me don't know.
Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business.
Driven? No, I ain't driving. I get a bus ticket. One of me pick me them go drop me down there. Must bring me down there. Russo Trace Springer down by the place down there.
Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products, it's about relationships. It's about you.
It's all about me? Who's your family? You know Edna and Dorka and them, you know them, but you resemble them Edward boy and them Edward people them you.
Tobago Glass Supplies, Russo Trace Spring Garden, telephone number 639-6266. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
TNTech is pleased to advise that its Roxborough Service Center has reopened. Starting Monday, 10th March, customers can once more visit the Roxborough Administrative Building to pay TNTech bills, request new connections, and more. TNTech, powering the nation into the next generation.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSCC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam. You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. Listen, we have so much fun on this set, on and off air. It really is amazing, and I know sometime in the past, I mentioned to you working in the media, it really is exciting, and so we really do have a good time, and we thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us. Today, as you are aware, we are celebrating nurses. It's Nurses Appreciation Week, and the conversation we had with the nurse earlier on, the registered nurse earlier on, really was, Miss Map, really was an eye-opener to us, Sometimes, Akinlabi, we really just see at the surface level.
Yeah.
We go in, as I mentioned before, we go into the emergency room, and they said it's through triage, they take your information, and then you find that you're waiting. But if you look in the background, you see the nurses moving like ants.
Busy.
They're like ants behind there, running up and down here and there, trying to ensure things get done. And, we really take things for granted. And one thing she said that really stood out is the fact that sometimes they work 12-hour shifts. And could you imagine being on your feet for 12 full hours?
Yeah.
What kind of shoes you have to wear, first of all?
No kind of padding could make up for that. No kind of padding could make up for the being on your feet for 12 hours, constantly moving, constantly caring for people, putting yourself on the back burner and caring for persons. That kind of sacrifice, I don't know if many people in this country could do it. I don't know if many people in this country truly appreciate the kind of work that nurses really put in to make sure that your loved ones, you or your loved ones, are well taken care of while you are at the hospitals, the nation's hospitals. And I think it's something we just need to put in the forefront of people's minds, that these nurses, even though the system itself may not be perfect, these nurses, these doctors, these nurses, these nursing assistants, they really sacrifice a lot for our well-being.
They really overextend themselves. And let's talk about a bathroom break. The bathroom break, you know, nurse said sometimes you only get to use that bathroom once if at all, or you get to use it when you get home. Online with us, we have another nursing practitioner in the person of Giselle Pierre, and she's a registered scrub nurse working at the Port of Spain Gynecological Theatre. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Look at our nurse in her outfit, her work gear. Look at this. This is commitment, and we must say we really, truly appreciate you for taking this couple minutes to speak with us this morning. I know that the demands are high, and so we just want to say, first off the bat, happy Nurses Appreciation Week. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Before we came on, we were kind of going through what we know, we just only know at the surface level. And we spoke with a nurse earlier on in the program as well, and she brought some enlightenment to us. And what I want to ask you this morning is, in terms of your role in the theater there, what are some of the demands? Because sometimes we take these things for granted and we only see nurses bringing the medication, the nurses, probably tidying up the patient, but there are so many other things that a nurse does. So what are some of the things you are called to do in your role there in the theater?
Well, first of all, working in the theater as a registered nurse, we ensure to be the patient's advocate, right? So we don't only look at the physical, we look at the psychological aspect. So when they enter into the theater, we have to ensure that they are relaxed and comfortable. Sometimes we take our time and pray with them, because, coming into a new environment, to come and do something as surgery is so frightening to them and overwhelming that we need to be at their side. So we are more than an advocate for them. And also we ensure that when they come into the theater, we take them through every step. We explain with them, and at the end too, if it is they are experiencing major pain after such major surgeries, we also speak up. We are the voice for the patients that cannot speak for themselves, and we ensure that they go to the ward in a comfortable manner and continue that ongoing nursing care on the ward. So it's a whole long process in the theater on a more psychological aspect than physical.
I want to ask my co-host this. Akinlabi, did you ever think about the nurses being the advocate for the patients? I mean, I really did not even think about this aspect of it, having to speak up and she mentioned praying, walking through the paces with the patients and that level of support.
So I never thought of them as an advocate for the patient. This is the first time I'm hearing about that, but also just hearing that the nurses also have to be a friend, a counselor, a prayer partner. All these things nurses have to do. It's really amazing the amount of work that you all put in. But nurse, just tell us, what does a day in the life of a nurse in the gynecological theater look like?
Well, first to begin, we start off work at 7 a.m. We prepare the area for the surgeries during the day, and also for emergency surgeries, people that, have got into injuries during the course of the day and just abruptly come to the hospital. We prepare that, we ensure that everything is sterile to maintain sterility to prevent infection during the surgery cases. We ensure that the patient is psychologically prepared, and that psychological pace is maintained throughout the theatre, throughout their procedure, even after the surgery. We also ensure to have these instruments and supplies readily available for whenever, a demand for surgery is needed to assist to any surgical cases, right? We ensure that we liaise with the superior one, our supervisors, in case that it have infrastructural damages. We ensure that it's a multidisciplinary action that theatre nurses does. We don't only study surgery. If anything is wrong with the structure of the building inside our department, we have to ensure that that is maintained, ensure that we not only look out for the patients, but we have to look out for ourselves as well. And that protocols is maintained so that patient can have pain-free and reduce of infection post-operative ongoing care, even when they're at home. And when they return to the hospital for clinic appointments, we ensure that that aseptic technique, that sterility, that reduce of infection is maintained until they are comfortable enough to go back out to work. So it is not just preparation for surgery. We gear up ourselves to prepare on a teaching level as well as a physical and psychological level to ensure that the patient can return to work and perform as they used to before the surgery.
Now, Nurse Pear, I know that this particular aspect of nursing is a selective. How did you decide to go into this aspect of nursing and not general nursing? And how long have you been serving as a theatre nurse?
Well, first of all, I'm a theatre nurse for 18 years. I have been exposed to all type of surgery: kidney transplant, cardiac surgery, organ harvesting. So it's all different types of surgeries, and also you have to be, when you pass out as a normal registered nurse, because I am a registered nurse before I'm a theatre nurse. So I worked on the normal wards, what we call bedside nursing, right? And I was there for 2 years, and then the government or the institution, which is Northwest Amanda, Northwest Regional Health Authority, they provide post-basic courses, and they advertise for the nurses to upgrade in their area of nursing. So you just have to wait for the advertisement and apply, and you can get through and do your studies.
Nurse Pierre, you mentioned earlier that your shift starts at 7, you have to come and prepare the theatre for surgeries. But after all those hours of preparing, you then have to be present in the surgery, and those surgeries could go pretty long. How long does a surgery could take? Sometimes, what is the longest you've ever sat down in a surgery after you've done all the work to prepare for that surgery?
Sometimes the longest I've stayed in a surgery for was 12 hours.
Ooh. Wow. What type of surgery was that one?
That was like a gastric bypass.
Wow. And during those 12 hours, I mean, I can't comprehend. I mean, we watch television, we watch all the doctors and nurses shows, and we kind of see just the basics. But what is it like spending 12 hours in a surgery, in a theatre, while a surgery is being performed?
Well, we thank God that, it's not just me alone, that we can interchange and have little breaks in between. And it is tiring on your body. So tiring that when you reach home, you have to decompress. Sometimes you just want to stay a little while by yourself, take a little longer time in the shower just to, decompress, and then you can attend to your children at home or your family at home. So it is tiring, but we had to ensure that we maintain a good mindset, and our mental is it is focused, and that we don't make mistakes. So you always have to be on your toes. You have to overlook the tiredness.
And this is a lot, and I thank God for people like you who have the heart for this type of job, who love what you're doing, because the nurse Mark we spoke with earlier and yourself, I'm hearing the passion and the commitment that you have to the type of service you provide. For you, what is the most rewarding thing in being a nursing practitioner?
The most rewarding thing is when I see that, you give up your effort and you could see that the patient walks out of the hospital and they are in a good spirit and happy that they did it, because of coming into the hospital, they were having complications, so they were in pain and grimacing, and just to see that full transformation that you are a part of, because as a nurse, we know that we are a team player. No one is their own island. Everybody have to come together and, to make something happen for one individual. So it is rewarding to see that, the camaraderie in your department or in nursing, that we all have to come together to just help one person, and it forms bonds and relationship with your co-workers, and also to see that patient saying thank you, that alone is rewarding for me. And it also, rewarding to see that I can also assist myself and loved ones because of the knowledge that was gained in nursing.
All right. I mean, this is a lot, and I really wish we had more time to go through this. But I must end by saying that, honestly, this show this morning gave us so much insight into the demands, and we really, really appreciate you. My attitude towards nursing, not that it was bad before at all, it was never, but my attitude towards nursing practitioners is changed. I'm not saying it's going to change, it is already changed. So whenever I interact with someone, whether on duty or off duty, the nurses I know in my life, listen to me, I am going to give them so much love because of all that you do for us. Right? Because of all that you do for us, the people here in Trinidad and Tobago, we really have to show gratitude, because I know you could go into a hospital, you could go into somewhere to do a surgery and just get the basic care, and that will be sufficient. But based on what you are saying, the things that you put into ensuring the comfort of patients, to ensuring that the families are even, they also feel comfortable knowing that the surgery is going to go through the paces and stuff like that. Listen, nurse, thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
We really do appreciate you, and we hope that you could find some time during the day just to relax, as you said, decompress, and pat yourself on the back for the good work that you're doing. You are doing good, and may you continue to receive the grace to do all that you have to do as a nurse, wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Nurse Pear. Wow. Nurses really give of themselves, and we must show them that measure of appreciation. Before we go, we have to go back to the photo of the day. Were you able to guess where this photo was taken from?
Well, if they can't guess this one, something wrong.
We have to take back your passport. We have to take back your passport.
If they can't guess
Come on, somebody. Tell me where this photo was taken this morning. Marvin Clark, we say thank you so much for sending in this photo for us this morning. This is the iconic Pigeon Point, and so beautiful photo. This is Tobago, beautiful Tobago. So just in case you're wondering, if you're not here, you need to get on a plane and get to Tobago to experience the beautiful Pigeon Point and all the other beaches we have here on the island of Tobago. Thank you so much for staying with us throughout the entire program this morning. This is where the morning show ends, but our programming continues with GMT, that is Good Morning Tobago. So do stay with us, and as you stay, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live.
Secretary attends the swearing-in ceremony of the 9th Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. The Tobago House of Assembly is preparing for the 2026 budget and the schools are back in session. All this and more in this week's episode of 116. Let's go.
One, 116. Beautiful island.
Chief Secretary of Tobago, the Honorable Fali Augustine, attended the swearing-in ceremony of the 9th Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Visesa, which was held at the President's house in Trinidad. Also in attendance were the newly elected MPs for Tobago East and West, David Thomas and Joel Sampson, respectively. In preparation for the 2026 fiscal budget, the Tobago House of Assembly is encouraging the members of the public and the stakeholders to give their recommendations, feedback, suggestions to make an informed decision in the best interest of Tobagonians. You can do so by scanning the QR code on screen and forwarding your recommendations there. For more information, you can visit the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy's Facebook page. Students and teachers across Tobago returned to school on April 29th with fresh energy and focus. The Division of Education, Research and Technology encouraged everyone to finish strong in this final leg of the academic year. 4H Tobago, in collaboration with the FAO and the 4H National Council, installed 3 hydroponic systems at schools across Tobago: Scarborough Secondary, Roxborough Secondary, and the Little Joe's ECCE. This aims to promote food sustainability on the island. The public is being advised that during the closed hunting season, the sale of orange-winged parrots is illegal. Under the Conservation of Wildlife Act, possession of young or juvenile parrots may result in a fine of up to $100,000. Individuals selling these birds are urged to stop immediately and comply with the law.
Well, for me is don't play the thing with the 2 long ears. I think most Tobagonians know what that means.
Yeah. We're in the day, produce body free, and look for in the night. Something so. Yeah.
Right? When you see goat with its half rope, let it hang. That is one of our sayings in Tobago. That when we speak about someone, when you see somebody in trouble and they don't want to help themselves, leave them where you see them, do not pick them up.
Sayings that Tobagonians supposed to know is one, me knock my titty and my titty knock my back. You're supposed to know what that is. And me and he or me and she cocoa na soak. You understand? Tobago.
And that's for this week's episode of 116. If you've missed any of our episodes, you can catch them all on our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and we also have a WhatsApp channel. I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards, and I'll catch you in our next episode.
One, 116. Beautiful island.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
It's a brand
morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. And you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. In a wave of new governmental appointments, notable figures from the business and media industry have taken up key ministerial roles. Satyakama Maharaj, founder and managing director of Sasha Cosmetics, is now the Minister of Trade and Tourism and Investment, sworn in yesterday at President's House. Maharaj, a celebrated entrepreneur, was Caribbean Entrepreneur of the Year in 2016. Meanwhile, Philip Alexander has been appointed Minister in the Ministry of Housing, joining a team led by Karuni Central MP David Lee. Additionally, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has been forced to run the country from her private home in Philippines due to the uninhabitable official facilities. Minister Barry Padarat revealed Whitehall is plagued by mold and overcrowding, while the diplomatic center suffers from raw sewage rot and broken security systems. Despite these challenges, Persad-Bissessar has remained fully engaged, working late into the night. Ministers, including Saddam Hussein, have been coordinating from her residence. Padarat slammed the previous administration for neglect, calling Whitehall a $32 million vanity project with no functionality and dire health issues. And finally, Tobago's new MPs may bring fresh voices to the parliament, but political analyst Dr. Winfred James says real power hinges on strategic alliances. David Thomas and Joel Sampson of the Tobago People's Party won Tobago East and West respectively. Yet, James warns that without a coalition with the UNC, their influence will be limited. TPP leader insisted their mandate is to advocate for Tobago and not to seek cabinet posts. While the UNC holds a simple majority, TPP's support could be crucial for special majority votes, though not enough on its own to sway key legislation. And that was on News in 90 Seconds. This morning, we have the ability to continue our election post-mortem discussions. And I have the pleasure of sitting in studio with no other than former Assemblyman and former Minority Leader of the THA, Mr. Ashwood Jack. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Chanel. Good morning, Tobago, and all the persons who are listening and viewing on the World Wide Web. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be able to have this interaction with you.
Right. And as we have this post-mortem discussion, the question everyone in Tobago is now asking, now that we have elected two what persons may deem independent representatives from Tobago that are separate and apart from the two leading parties or main political entities in the country, being the UNC and the PNM, what type of true power does Tobago now have, being that they are not connected to any one of these key entities?
Well, I'm glad that is the question that has been asked. But let me first clear this up. Those two people are not independent. They are members of the TPP. It's a minority party in the House. There are three parties in the House. The government, which is the UNC, the main opposition party, which is the PNM, and a minority party that has 2 votes, which is Tobago East, which in this case is the TPP. It's not a unique situation. It has happened before in the days of the DSC. And so we see that we come in full circle. What I am hoping that what happened in 76 to 91, 76 to 81, could happen again, where the 2 seats in the parliament was able to bring meaningful change. I've heard the argument, and I think sometimes you listen to some people and you listen to some of the arguments, and the people who are making the arguments, and you know it is not genuine. And let me explain. In the run-up to the elections of 2024, or 25, the 28th of April 25, the biggest claim that the PNM was making, in fact, it was their campaign cry, is that a vote for the TPP is a vote for the UNC. And now they're saying, you see, they're not in cabinet. But I know that was a trap to say immediately after the election. You see what I tell earlier? They was going to give the 2 seats. But that being said, I think what happened is that there are a number of things that we have to depend on here. And I just overheard something that you said in the news item about Dr. James speaking about relationships. And Tobago have always had to depend on relationships in order to get anything it needed. And that is why the issue here is relationships vis-a-vis legislative responsibility. And so from 1977 to now, there have been an attempt by Tobagonians to change having to depend on a relationship and having legislative responsibility, because legislative responsibility is more predictable, more concrete than relationship where dependent on personalities and stuff like that. And so one might ask oneself, and I'm hearing the question because I've been called and asked it a couple of times, how does Tobago fare without having ministers in the cabinet? And if people understood the trust for internal self-government and some of the devolution of powers, the intent was to have Tobago step away from having to depend on ministers in the government. And let me explain. The 5th schedule of the Tobago House of Assembly is supposed to give Tobago about 75% of the responsibilities for the development of Tobago. And therefore, none of those should be the responsibility of any cabinet, regardless of which government is in power. Unfortunately, there have been some missteps in that regard where some of the legislations that went before Act Number 40 of 1996 came into being that allow ministers to do like town and country planning is a case in point. It is the responsibility of the Tobago House of Assembly. But even prior to 1996, the government, I think Dr. Rowley was then Minister of Planning. They took a legislation back to the Parliament to do some changes to town and country. And one of the simple things that should have been done is to simply say that in the case of Tobago, the Tobago House of Assembly have responsibility for town and country planning. In the case of Tobago, where you have an appeal, that appeal goes to the Secretary for Planning and not to the Minister of Planning. Those things were not done. And so what I am hoping that this dispensation will do is to look at those pieces of legislation that directly impact on the delivery of service in Tobago and to do whatever is necessary to ensure that ministers does not have that responsibility in any way. Because I remember hearing former Minister Kojo saying that Drill was bold to say that she couldn't do certain things in sports and things in Tobago. Drill was not bold, Drill was following the law. It happened that Minister Kojo was Minister of Sports, and as a result of that, there are certain things that she could have delivered. But that is not the way the law is set up. The law gives sports a 5th schedule item. And any money spent in sports should really be spent by the Tobago House of Assembly under the division responsible for sports. That being said, once you have a situation where the relationship and the legislative agenda is correct, there is no need for a minister on anything under the 5th schedule. And then one might ask himself, what about the 6th and 7th schedule? But the 6th and 7th schedule clearly points out that where the government is to deliver service in Tobago, that it may enter into a MOU with the Tobago House of Assembly. So one way or the other, there is no need for ministerial intervention in Tobago. Of course, that is except the judiciary and the office of the president. So those are the only 2 areas, and the judiciary does not necessarily fall under a ministry because there are 3 arms of government.
Understood. But there are persons who have raised the fact that in the last Kamala Prasad-Processor
Administration.
led government, there was a Ministry of Tobago Development.
Right.
How come we didn't see something like that being formed again this time? And do you think that would have been in the best interest of Tobago?
I think that maybe what this is telling us is that the government is saying that it is time to put all the things in place to make Tobago be able to make a lawmaking, policy formation, implementation body, the Tobago House of Assembly. And in that way, maybe all you need is proper coordination between the THA and the central government. And maybe there might have been some mistakes made in the 2010-2015. I was a part of that administration, and there might have been some mistakes made and some lessons learned, and say, listen, allow Tobago a lot more latitude in some of these matters, and try to give Tobago the autonomy that it deserves, so that you take all this away. I know that there are some things that the CAS still have to do in terms of the monies that still have to pass through CAS and all that, but you don't necessarily need a whole ministry for it. And I'm hoping that if it is needed at all, it will be a temporary measure.
Okay. And does that in any way prohibit the Tobagos of Assembly from seeking internal self-government? Because you hear some person saying, well, our main focus at this point in time is to get that Tobago autonomy secured. However, does having a Ministry of Tobago Development or even greater work happening at CAS prohibit that pursuit of autonomy?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't at all. There's nothing that prevents Tobago from seeking autonomy, but there's no need for greater work at CAS, as I was explaining. When I say greater work, I mean matters under the 5th and 6th schedule. That's basically the only thing CAS is responsible for. And I think that the fact that there's not a Ministry of Tobago Development tells me that the government is probably going to look at the letter of the law and says, if these things are to be delivered in Tobago, then we could enter into the necessary MOUs. Some of the things that we saw in the last 10 years or so were, there was actually a clawing back of responsibilities from the Tobago House of Assembly. Now, for example, the construction of the airport. Wharves and airports are the responsibility of the Tobago House of Assembly. And there could have been a MOU that allowed that to happen. So a lot of things that we think is natural to the government of Trinidad Tobago, based in Trinidad, really could be dealt with differently. But that have a lot to do with the quality of relationships and the speed at which the legislation is passed to give Tobago undeniable. There should be no ambiguity as to who have responsibility for what in the space. And that as long as ministers can override stuff that happen in the country, this will be an issue, and places like the Ministry of Tobago Development could be put up without any challenge at all.
Okay. And for you, as it pertains to the relationship, what do you think outside of the Tobago Autonomy Bill that has been deemed by this administration to be their number one focus? But there are other areas that need to be adjusted as it pertains to the allocation to the THA that can be done outside of a bill being passed in Parliament. And we heard the Prime Minister saying that there are interim measures that can take place to improve the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago without the bill, because the bill is not going to be passed tomorrow. So as it pertains to those things, can we see a greater level of approvals as it pertains to non-objection letters coming from the Minister of Finance, and what are some of the other areas that can help the THA function more smoothly just because of the enhanced relationship?
I'm convinced that that there's already ongoing talks in that regard. And I'm convinced that there are things that will be done differently. There are some things that I am not at liberty to say, and I'm quite sure you will understand that. Mm-hmm. I'm not at liberty to mention some of these things, but I know that what Tobago should be looking for in our first instance is an increase in its allocation in the first instance in the present literation of the Act to reflect the population size, which is what was used in the Dispute Resolution Commission. And that will immediately give Tobago a bump in its allocation and therefore its ability to deliver stuff as it comes to Tobago. As far as the non-objection letters and stuff like that, I feel very confident. You know, as I said, I'm not at liberty to speak some stuff, but I feel very, very confident that that is going to be something that will be done very easily, because it doesn't take anything from Trinidad to do a non-objection letter. Again, it comes back to the relationship as it relates to autonomy. If Tobago was a lawmaking body and stuff like that, then you would not have needed a minister to issue a non-objection letter. The minister in Tobago with responsibility for those things would have been able, in this case I think it's planning, would have been able to just simply do a non-objection letter. These are maybe in the last couple of years, because of the amount of things that have happened that kept Tobago's progress back and took back so much of the responsibility. It might have been a blessing in disguise, so that there's a clearer picture as to what should be dealt with to deal with Tobago's share of the budget, the autonomy, the things that we should be able to do in Tobago without interference from a cabinet in Trinidad. And I know that every administration, because when the previous administration was elected, I am sure there was high hopes, because they say we have a Tobago Prime Minister, 2 Tobago MPs who are ministers, basically, and there was high hopes that, some of these things will be done. But what we saw was a jockeying for political position in the space that says, my organization, I could use my power to advance the cause of my organization, not necessarily advance the cause of the people of Tobago. And I think that is one of the things that we have to guard against. We have to guard against relationships that says that the organization is paramount to the people of Tobago.
Understood. But even as it pertains to those discussions and some of those negotiations, and you said you are not at liberty to disclose certain things that you are aware of, but do you believe there should be a certain level of transparency as it pertains to how this administration communicates with the central government?
Of course it must be.
For example, possibly a press conference coming after those discussions stating that now that the Prime Minister has been installed, the THA has had those discussions, and this is the way that we would be moving forward. Do you think that the public should also have a certain level of input on what we want to see as this relationship evolves?
Okay, let me talk first about the transparency and then speak about the public input. In terms of the issue of transparency, I am quite sure that once all those agreements are drilled down, there will be, because it is going to be a reason for boasting. And therefore, any politician who doesn't take the opportunity to tout their successes isn't worth the salt. And I don't think that we can say that of the President and Chief Secretary. I'm quite sure he will be more than willing, more than elated to say, this is what we have benefited as a result of our negotiations. One. I think the second question had to do with public involvement. We have to be very careful to what level we need public involvement, because public involvement can take years. Because everybody say, you didn't consult with us, we wanted more than 5%, there's no justification. And so what you have to do is that there are some things that the public have elected you to do. But when it's finished, you have to be able to level with the public and say, this is what we have done, this is why we have done this, and this is the result of that. It all comes back in the same basket, really.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after this. So see you soon.
Could get.
business's new smart solutions powered by super fast, reliable broadband. You'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. Right here on Tobago Updates this morning, we are continuing our post-election discussions, and I'm sitting in studio and having a chat with former Assemblyman and former Minority Leader Ashwood Jack. Now, we've heard the question over and over again. How come Tobago didn't get any senators, and why haven't they negotiated any senators? And we heard from the deputy political leader, Dr. Faith B. Israel, coming out and saying, well, again, our main focus is autonomy. We're not joining the cabinet. We have said it time and time again that we are not UNC. We are independent of that organization. However, one of the main arguments that she had put forward is that this administration does not want to take collective responsibility for the decisions made by the UNC. Do you think that's a reasonable position to take as it pertains to not having members in the cabinet?
I think that one of the things that was clear throughout the entire campaign was that the TPP was saying, we are an independent organization and we don't want to be linked to any organization. It doesn't mean that you don't have good relationship, but you're not formally linked to any organization. Accepting members of the Senate means that you are a member of the government, right? And therefore, everything you're linked. And then there's a historical antecedent that says the biggest argument that the PNM have advanced in the last 12 to 13 years is the issue of any organization that is in Tobago that is not PNM, you're linked to the UNC. And as I said on numerous occasions, I want to repeat it. It has nothing to do with a party. It is really a pseudo-racist statement that you're making. And I know that there are so many people who are afraid of the consequence and political consequence in this case of having some of those relationships. I remember one station, someone asked me one day, do you still have a good relationship with Mrs. Prasad Bisesa? And I asked him, I said, what will stop that? Because you don't think I should have one? And so the idea that on every platform, every night, the leadership of the TPP was saying, we will negotiate with whoever is there and we'll do this with that. it would have been really disingenuous to a couple of years after, when none of the parties don't need your vote to form a government. If it was that there was a crisis where somebody needs your vote to form government, then you have to choose which of the parties you want to do. But as it is, they don't need your vote to form a government, so you don't have to become a power broker in terms of alleviating any crisis. And so this calls for a different kind of skill. This call for respect. This call for, on both sides, a call for respect, and it calls for you to be able to understand what you bring to the table. Because in the last, 10 years, the government have governed without making one majority decision, a special majority decision, because they didn't have it. In this case, there is one special majority decision could be made. But there's also a situation where everybody's saying we want to give Tobago autonomy. And therefore the Chief Secretary have to be skillful enough to navigate both sets of leaders to get the issue of Tobago's autonomy dealt with. If you're hard and fast on one side, it means that you say you're government with opposition. And if you have an opposition leader, like we have had a number of opposition leaders in the past, once you're not for me, you're against me, it makes it a lot more difficult to be able to get that. But I think Tobago needs to be in a position where it negotiates, especially this autonomy bill, and then people will stop asking the question about the ministers and stuff like that, because they realize they really don't have any power in the Tobago space. That being said, I am also one of the advocates that the Constitution must be amended to give Tobago senator as of right. It must not be dependent on which party is in power in Trinidad. Tobago must have at least 2 or so senators as of right, because there are 2 houses, and the upper house also have to pass money bills, it have to pass all the other bills, and therefore Tobago must have a say in where these things go as of right, because you must not have to toe a party line necessarily, because you're more than likely, if you're majority, you'll toe the majority line. If you're minority, you toe the minority line. If it is as it is now in Tobago, where you have a separate organization altogether, then you more than likely what you'll do is toe the Tobago line and not necessarily any of the parties in Trinidad.
Right.
So a senator as of right have to be something we need in Tobago.
Right. And even as it pertains to the airport, Tobago having greater control over the economic activity that happens at that airport in Tobago, what are some of your perspectives on that?
Tobago should have the greatest degree of control over anything that happens in the Tobago space, inclusive of security. You have to understand that Trinidad and Tobago might be one country, but the cultures are different. And once you have different cultures, there need to be an understanding of that culture in order to be able to govern. Government is about looking at the cultures of people and making laws, making policies and stuff that is in tandem with the culture. And if the culture have to shake, you have to do it gradually, where you bring people on board. But when you have a situation where people are totally divorced of the cultures in another space, then they are going to make decisions that are going to be disruptive. And we have seen that time and time again. And then there's another thing that people have to realize. Sometimes having somebody who is born in Tobago and live away for a long time doesn't mean that they still anchor with the culture. And so we have to look at how culture affects policy and how culture affects law.
Right. And even as it pertains to the inclusion of the Tobago House of Assembly, as it pertains to making recommendations for those state boards and state enterprises, before we saw a situation where the central government, if they pleased, would have put a Tobago representative but not necessarily a representative that represented the Tobago House of Assembly.
Vis-a-vis the TG.
Right? Do you see moving forward that would be a place for improvement, or where collaboration would take place to ensure that
I think it has
the
to be.
THA is represented on these state
It has to be,
enterprises?
because there are some things housing is a case in point, planning is a case in point, the airport authority, the port authority, those things directly impact upon the operational readiness of Tobago for disasters, even for our everyday living. And the organization charged with the responsibility of developing Tobago and managing Tobago is the Tobago House of Assembly. And therefore, if you're going to have members on these boards, and I find it's time enough that we also look at quotas. Because having a token Tobagonian on some of these boards really doesn't do justice. If you have a 10-member or 11-member board on the airport of Trinidad and Tobago, Airport Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, you have 2 airports. And therefore, Tobago must have more than a token representative. Right? The same thing applies to the port. I mean, there are more ports than 2, but at the same time, what those boards govern are very mainly 2 main ports of Scarborough and Port of Spain. And therefore, things like those, I think need to be renegotiated. I know when a government wins power in Trinidad, there are a million people lining up, waiting to get something in terms of their membership, and these boards are sometimes used to give experience to prospective managers, maybe even prospective politicians. But Tobago must be treated as an equal partner in all of these things. And that's been said. I just want to say this to all the Tobagonians that have been calling my phone, asking about if I can get a board appointment for you. I'm not a member of the Tobago House of Assembly. I'm not a member of the Tobago House of Assembly. You know, I have some relationships, but in the last couple of days, it has been horrible. It has been horrible. Everybody wants a board appointment. Talk to the Chief Secretary.
Understood. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after this. See you soon.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
So guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now we have been discussing all matters Tobago and all post-election discussions here on Tobago Updates. This morning I've been chatting with Ashwood Jack, former assemblyman and former minority leader in the THA. We have discussed the results of that last election for a number of persons. They were not expecting such a wipeout, as some persons call it, of the People's National Movement, not just here in Tobago, but on a national level. And, you know, even during the campaign season in Tobago particularly, we heard a lot of discussions from the People's National Movement side about the competence and the experience of the two Tobago representatives that were chosen, but they ended up coming out victorious, although they didn't have as much experience as the incumbents. What are your views on that, and do you think this is indicative of a different approach that the People's National Movement needs to take?
I think I'll start from the last question and go forward. It is interesting that as soon as somebody have experience, they start to say you don't have any. There are no MPs except if you served in another body like the Tobago House of Assembly and stuff like that, that will go into the parliament with experience. And you can't say it of Joel. Joel surely was a member of the Tobago House of Assembly for 3 years. He was assistant secretary and was promoted to secretary. He also was the deputy presiding officer. So to say Joel doesn't have any experience really was not a true statement. But even if he did not have experience, none of the two people who were saying he didn't have experience had experience when they first went into Mrs. Kajul was a senator for a while, but when she became a senator, she didn't have any experience.
Right, but Mr. Jack, we have a caller on the line joining in on the discussion. Good morning and welcome.
Take English school. I am Tobagonian, but I do not live in Trinidad. I do not live in Tobago. But I wanted to raise with Mr. Jack the issue that he has just raised with respect to the appointment of board members to boards and so on. And one of the phrases that caught my attention was he said that so many people wish and have called for to be appointed to boards. I take issue with this in the sense that appointment of board ought to be based on the ability of what does a board member do? A board member contributes to the desirable outcomes for which the board has been mandated, and therefore it ought not to be based on loyalty or whatever, but rather it should be based solely on the individual's ability to contribute to what is perceived as the responsibilities of the board and the outcomes that are desired. Thank you very much. I would like to have your
raise that, because I have seen, I don't know if there's a school of thought that says all the loyalty resides in one organization. because every organization, based on the numbers, will have loyalty in both places. But you also have to understand that board members are the persons who drive the policy of an organization. And therefore, if you have board members that are at odds with the stated policy of the cabinet and the minister in particular, you will be marking time. You will not get much done. And what I'm saying is that there might be situations where there are persons who might not be of the same school of thought with you. And you might have some of those, but why would you set up a board to fight each other based on policy? And I just said that you disagree with people calling, and I'm saying, I just said I did. But the issue of competence is always paramount. But I have seen, now that the boards are resigning, I've seen some of the people on some of those boards. I don't know if they fit in. And that might be my opinion. And that's the other thing. Sometimes we judge people without hearing and seeing their contributions. And so I don't judge people based on that. I wait until I see the outcome of their contributions. And then it is in that regard that I would judge if the board was competent or not.
Excellent. Caller, are you still there?
I think we can go back to
I think we would have lost that caller, but that's interesting because for a number of years, and the culture of politics has seen board appointments as being a reward for political loyalty, and I think that what a number of persons want to see is a greater level of not just competence, but in some cases a bit of transparency as it pertains to that, or maybe even as the board probably has 10 positions, even if there are 2 positions that persons can apply to, to be a part of that speaks to a certain
then we have to change the
level
constitution
of elevation.
We
right?
need to change the constitution.
And
because
a greater level of inclusion.
As I said to the caller, if you have a board, for example, I think 300-something thousand people voted for the UNC, 200-something thousand people voted for the PNM. And I'm quite sure you can find people within that 300-something thousand people that you wouldn't have to fight with in a board meeting. Because it doesn't mean that everything oil and gas reside in one party or everything housing reside in one party. There will be that. I know that there are going to be times that people think that everybody should be involved, but is it that everybody wants to be involved on the same page? Is it that the people who might belong to a different organization will divorce themselves of the organization and say, look, what we come here to do is to fix the board business? If that is so, then it's easy. But if you come with your prejudice, that has nothing to do with the working of the board, then there's another situation. But I know right here in Tobago, there are members of other political organizations on boards here in Tobago. So this is not something that is not practiced. It is practiced, but if we want to legislate it, is a different story altogether. But I have seen people right here in Tobago that was walking in red before the THA election and are on boards in Tobago. So it's not anything unique.
Understood. As it pertains to that relationship moving forward, persons are looking forward to just overall better functioning for the Tobago House of Assembly. They're looking forward to greater allocations. They're looking forward to the THA being able to really fulfill a number of its mandates. But again, in the news item this morning, we heard from Dr. Winford James saying, and the only thing that would allow for this type of progress is that allegiance, that strategic allegiance with
in the absence of legislation, relationships will have to take over. And I'm saying, yes, it is okay to depend on relationship, but it must not be something that goes in indefinitely. Right? For now, it has to be relationships. And we would have expected that the relationships would have been better, maybe not in the last 3 years, but prior to the last 3 years, there was a PNM in Trinidad and PNM in Tobago. But we still saw an erosion of the Tobago House of Assembly responsibility. So to depend solely on relationship is not a good idea, not to me. And I'm saying, yes, relationship will help in the initial stages, but there must be legislation that says regardless of who is in Trinidad and who is in Tobago, these things are the right of Tobagonian. What happens if that relationship breaks down by another organization being in power in either of the islands? Then what have happened in the last couple of years where even the seating of members of the executive of the Tobago House Assembly was so poor, even the way they were addressed, the salutations, Ufali, that kind of stuff, to the Chief Secretary in an official function. Those things will continue to happen because there are conflicts. Everybody trying to make room for themselves to show that they are the biggest, baddest wolf, and then therefore playing to their membership. And I just want to say this. I remember...
Just now, Mr. Jack, I think we have a caller on the line. Caller, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, caller.
Well, I have a question for Mr. Jack.
Please go ahead.
My question is, how can this Telepark contribution to the Tobago economy?
Okay. That's a good question, but unfortunately for me, you've asked me a question that I've been speaking to for the last 2 years. Study Park, the biggest problem with Study Park right now, why it is not making a greater contribution to the Tobago economy, was the ban on export of aggregate. Tobago was denied an aggregate license. And therefore, we are very, very hopeful that will be lifted. But I want to caution people that the day the ban is lifted will not be the day we are able to export. The lifting of the ban, what it will do, it will give us the ability to borrow the money that is necessary to replace 2 very aged plants, especially the Northburg, which is the older of the plants. And I had to explain to another closed-door meeting a couple of days ago, the day before yesterday, that one of the drawbacks about some of those plants is that the plant is so aged that some of the plants have to be made for us. So it takes a long time to be done. We have been out looking for plants. We have been out looking for loans. We are actually right on the verge.
Oh, no,
and so we are on the verge of being able to get the loan. And that is, as I said, quite dependent. Our ability to pay back that loan is quite dependent on the ability to export material, because Tobago and even Trinidad doesn't have the need for the kind of materials that Study Park could and would produce. So once that is done, and we hope that to be done very soon, it will take us another 5 or 6 months to be able to purchase and to install the plants, so that we'll be able to produce it at a stage where we're able to have large exports.
All right. Caller, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still there.
All right. I hope that
Do you have any follow-up questions, sir?
Answer your question.
Well, my next question is the prospect of the contribution, not necessarily at this time, but within a year or 2 years.
What are you trying to give you some figures?
Huh? No. What I'm saying, I'm looking what can be the contribution, not just to say, well. And
then you're asking for figures.
Yeah.
Then you're asking for figures.
What percentage?
No, can Study Park be of that great importance to our economy?
Study Park is a rock quarry. It will do what it can do, but we have to understand that Study Park cannot be the be it and end it all of the Tobago economic drive. We are going to also go downstream, and I want to temper people's expectation, because if people think that Study Park is going to give you hundreds of millions of dollars every year, it's a quarry, and when you blow down the rock, when it finishes, it finishes.
The perspective of the time of Study Park is not going to be 10 years or 20 years. It's 50, 60 years.
Cecil, what is the acreage at Study Park?
What is what?
What is the acreage? And what is the expected yield on a daily or on? You see, sometimes. Hold on, Corey. I can't ask the question and answer it.
Okay. I'm listening.
The thing here has to be is what is the prospective production level let's say for the next year, 2 years. We are in a good position to say, because every year we have to do the topographical surveys to tell you how much material is remaining in that site. Yes, Tobago have material that could last us for probably the next 15 or 20 years, as you say, but not necessarily at that one site. There are other sites that we are exploring that we will also have to bring on stream in order to give that kind of longevity. Again, we have to take into consideration as to what are the demands in the next 15 to 20 years. The demands now is extremely great because we have Guyana coming on stream. We expect St. Vincent also doing some orders and some other places. But like everything else, it's not like oil and gas where you need the car to run. And even oil and gas, there will be a reduction in the demand based on what is happening now, where you see a number of natural materials other than oil and gas is being used to power generation, the solar to power your lights and stuff like that. Charge cars instead of putting gas. So yes, there are going to be, and that's what you have to beat the iron while it's hot. Now that the iron is hot, we have to be able to maximize on Study Park, so that if the demand wanes in a couple of years, we would have been able to diversify the product in such a way, maybe into to brick and stuff like that, so that you don't have to depend strictly. And I am one of the people who don't believe we must depend strictly on the sale of raw material, because we can add value.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you so much for engaging with us this morning, caller, and asking that question. Unfortunately, we are out of time this morning, so we would not be able to take any more calls. However, we want to thank you so much, Mr. Jack, for your time this morning and for being able to offer your perspectives in answering some of those questions, and as it pertains to that post-election result and the relationship moving forward between the Tobago House of Assembly and the central government while we await that Tobago autonomy. Is there anything that you want to?
It is always a pleasure to be able to share what little knowledge and information that I can. I think one of the things that I have noticed in the last couple of years going around Tobago is that there's too much emotion involved and not enough information, and I'm hoping that some of the agencies in whether it be under the THA or one of the civil agencies will kind of create a situation where a lot more information is shared without the emotion of the politics, so that people come out of this in a better position. Even our young school children and our citizens who are now coming up, so that pride and that understanding of where we are and why we are where we are is shared among not only the people of Tobago, but wherever we go. So I am hoping that we get there, and I want to thank Tobago Update for doing whatever little they can in terms of sharing information.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And guys, we want to thank you for being a part of the discussions this morning. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.
We fill the skies. I say thanks.